My journey was a marathon, not a sprint. It took me 3 MCAT attempts and 3 years to finally achieve my dream score. But if I can do it, you can do it. Hi, I'm Taylor, and I'm going to take you through my MCAT journey, the challenges and struggles I faced, and the strategies I used to go from a 497 to a 510. So the first time I took the MCAT was the summer before my senior year of college. I took a Princeton Review MCAT prep course. I took practice exams. I was doing practice questions, but I really wasn't seeing any progress. For me, I've always struggled with test anxiety, and going into that MCAT, I was not confident. I was very anxious, and I knew I wasn't going to do well. But I was hoping maybe a miracle would happen, and I took the MCAT. Unfortunately, I received a 497. And going into my senior year, I was disheartened because I really wanted to apply the next year. But after talking to my pre-health advisor, he suggested that I look into pursuing a master's degree. This way I could strengthen my scientific background and learn how to study and how I specifically learn, and maybe then I would have the resources to do better on the MCAT. So that's actually what I did. I pursued a master's and I finished in December of 2019. I strengthened my scientific background, I gained confidence, and I was ready to approach the MCAT a little differently and give it a good go my second time. So I started studying in January, and this was all content review, just reading Princeton Review books, jotting down notes, watching Khan Academy videos, and my MCAT was scheduled for May. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it was canceled, and I had to reschedule for June. So during this time, I really focused on practice exams, and similar situation the first time, I really wasn't seeing much progress. I was around a 503, 504 on all of my practice tests, but I really wanted to do better, and I took my MCAT the second time in June. Unfortunately, as soon as I sat down for my test, the system shut down. During this time, I was sitting there for an hour and my test anxiety started to come back. I knew I wasn't going to perform well, and unfortunately, I was a little lower than my goal score and I received a 505. Once receiving that score, I was happy, but I knew it wasn't going to be competitive when it came time to apply. So I actually got my tonsils out, and while I was recovering for 3-4 weeks, I really self-reflected and decided, okay, is it worth the third MCAT attempt? No one wants to take the MCAT, and no one wants to take it 3 times. But for me, I knew I could do better, and I really wanted to give myself the best chance when it came time to apply. I scheduled my third MCAT exam for August. I had 3 weeks before my test, and I went to Google, and I Googled how to increase my score from a 505 to a 510 in 3 weeks. And that's actually how I found MCAT Mastery. The day I found them was kind of a blessing. I jotted down notes of strategies that directly applied to me and what I thought would be helpful for me. And the section that really stuck out to me was your mindset, how to better approach the exam, especially for retakers. And the biggest part that stuck with me was manifesting. I manifested my score with a Post-it note. I wrote down every day, I will get a 510. I will get a 510. And every time when I was studying and I got discouraged, I would look at this Post-it note and I would say, okay, I will get a 510. I'm confident in myself that I will get a 510. And this part of the MCAT Mastery Guide is, I think, for me, it was the game changer. Through reading this guide, I really internalized these strategies and this confidence and change in mindset, and was able to apply it to studying. So in the 3 weeks leading up to my third MCAT attempt, I focused on these strategies. I only studied for about 4 hours a day. I took 1 practice exam, and I really focused on trying to relieve stress and focusing on my happiness and what would best prepare me for success on the MCAT. And for me, this was hanging out with family and friends, working out, and taking breaks every day for myself. This way, I wasn't boggled down by the information and the list of things I have to do every day because I had stuff to look forward to. And I think that's really important when it comes to MCAT studying. It's a lot. You You have so much content to review. There are so many practice exams and questions that you can do. You always can do more. But the thing is, for most people, it's impossible to know everything. And I think once you accept that, you have more confidence in yourself and you'll do better on the MCAT. So on test day, I felt better. It was kind of a now or never situation. I was ready to get it over with. To be honest, I was really sick of studying. I think you can probably relate to that too. And even while taking the test, I knew I was in a better mindset. I knew I was doing better. And I ended up achieving my goal score of a 510. And I know it's because I manifested it. I wrote it down every day on a Post-it note. As cliche as it is, I really think that was the difference for me. For every section, I had similar strategies. They're a little different. For the chemistry physics section, I achieved a 128. And when I was preparing for this section, I would review practice questions. And if I got the question right, I would make sure I understood why, but I would also review the incorrect answer choices. This way, I was reviewing content, but also understanding why it wasn't the correct answer. And similarly with math questions, if I knew the equation, I made sure that I could reproduce that same answer, and I knew how they were trying to trick me with the other answer choices. For the car section, I got a 125, which for me, I was very excited about because it was my hardest section. I used to second guess myself a lot, and that section really gets you on that. So through MCAT Mastery, I realized that, okay, they're trying to trick me. If I'm between two questions, answer choices, I really tried to realize which one was the trick and which one was the correct answer. And although it was only a 1 point increase from my second attempt, a 124 to a 125, I went from the 40th percentile to the 60th. And I think that's a pretty big improvement, even though it's only 1 point on the MCAT. For the biochem section, like I said, I received my master's in biology. So I was confident with the content, but I really wasn't seeing that knowledge reflected in my score. So I decided that I would approach it a little differently and focus on the passage. This way, I was catching terms in the passage that actually gave me the correct answer, things that I was missing before. And I actually ended up getting a 128 on biochem. And then for the last section, psych-soc, I achieved a 129. And of course, content is very important for this section. Flashcards are definitely helpful, but for me, it was, again, in the review, I would review each question, understand why the correct answer was correct, but I would review the incorrect answers, and especially if there were definitions I didn't know. And it was actually this way that I retained and internalized these terms. And it's funny because when I was taking my MCAT, these questions would come up and I could remember the same question on a practice exam. And this way I was able to pick the correct answer. So I manifested my score with a Post-it note. I achieved a 510. My breakdown was 128, 125, 128, 129, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of that without MCAT Mastery. So if you're in a similar position as me, if you're a retaker, if you're struggling with confidence, or if you're just looking for strategies to succeed, I really suggest looking at MCAT Mastery, and I really think will give you some tools and strategies to achieve your dream score. So believe in yourself, practice and review, and manifest your score, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So I hope my story was helpful for you. I hope I gave you some strategies that maybe can help you achieve your score, and good luck with everything, and go crush your MCAT.